What's poppin', y'all? Everybody's been going in on Doja Cat for her most recent album sales. People were going in on the projections because it was initially saying that it was going to do 55K first week, but it didn't. It ended up doing 72,000 first week. And I'm going to go into why this won't be defending Doja Cat, but just providing a little bit of context. You know, that's what we do here. And y'all know I am favorable towards Doja Cat's music. I did listen to this album. I only listened to it once, though. I thought it would be, she said she was making a rap album. I mean, she was rapping on here, but I will be fair and say that I really didn't like this album as much first listen as I did Planet Her. Planet Her was straight fire. So I still got to listen to it maybe another time. I would say one more time to really get a better gauge of whether I liked it or not. The Scarlet album in particular. So why did a lot of people come at Doja Cat? Number one, she's been doing this whole like demonic, satanic kind of attention grabbing. I already did a separate video on it. You guys could check that out in the comments or the description, whichever one. And it's pretty much just to get attention. She's not really involved in any of this stuff, at least not at the top level. Otherwise, she'd probably be selling more, right? Isn't that what you guys would say? So if she's flopping and she's doing this and they want her to succeed at the top, wouldn't she be doing significantly better? Now, I don't think this is a flop. And the reason why is Doja Cat's first album, Hot Pink, the one that Say So was on, guess how much that sold first week? 7.9K first week. It debuted at like number 93. And this was when Doja Cat was already on. It was after the Moo stuff. But Say So was kind of a sleeper hit. So she would end up selling 40K, I think, the next week or weeks after that. And it would stay on the charts for a really long time because the hits came after. Juicy was one of the hits in 2019. There were multiple hits leading up to Say So, but Say So ended up being the smash. And that's the one that went crazy. So that album, first week wasn't too crazy, right? But Doja Cat goes through Say So. She has an amazing year, 2020, and then 2021. And then she drops Planet Her, which is that year. And what does that album do? 109K first week. Now that's significantly better, right? Okay, 109K makes sense. That's the song that had Kiss Me More with SZA. That song, that's not the song. That's the album. That album had multiple hits on it. Smash hits. Doja Cat at that point is becoming more and more of a star. She was supposed to go on tour with The Weeknd. A bunch of stuff was happening. She was doing international festivals, all of this other stuff. So she was becoming a massive star. I wouldn't necessarily say, I would think people were calling her a superstar at that time. What happens next? People are probably anticipating for her to do more. So she drops Scarlet and she does 72K. And I don't really think this is as big of a flop as people are painting it out to be. Her first week isn't that crazy. Last time she did 109K. That's lower than what Rod Wave do in this past album. Also, funny enough, Doja Cat didn't have or has never had a number one album, I don't think. I think Planet Her was number 2, if I am correct, which, I mean, come on, when am I not correct? Yeah. Planet Her was number 2. So you take a look at everything, that is a significant drop, a third. So she drops to 72K, but keep in mind, damn, okay, this is a little bit harder to defend. Number 1, she had a hit. She has a smash hit at number 1, which is why 72K is not too hot. You've got a number 1 song. Gunna, how much did Gunna do? Maybe 80, and Gunna had a hit, but the hit kind of picked up a little bit after. So she had a hit. Some people will say there was a lot of controversy between her and her fans. I don't think that really carried over into the album. I just think that there was less preparation, and the hit didn't last. The hit wasn't months coming into this album. There was promotion for this, but yeah, I just think this is a bit of a step back for Doja Cat. She's kind of been quiet. She hasn't gone on a tour. She hasn't done big things for about a year, other than being in headlines, maybe being in shows here and there. If I recall correctly, she had to go through vocal surgery or something. And she's been back and forth on this whole, I want to quit music, I hate being famous, and then doing stuff that is going to gather a lot of attention. Now, everybody is saying, Doja Cat, the reason why they're making fun of her is because she's doing all this attention-seeking stuff and this, not clickbait, but attention grabbing, anger inducing, engagement baiting activity, which is the way she's dressing, the stuff she's doing to her eyebrows, the tattoos she's getting, the imagery related to the Paint the Town Red song, as well as this album, everything all together. They're saying, man, you did all that just to sell 72K? And for that, man, I got to be on the same page with you guys. Yeah, that you look like a clown when you do something like that. Now, we have to be fair. The song Paint the Town Red is a number one, and that song is a smash hit. So, did it work? Yes, for the single, but for the album, not necessarily. And are we going to judge album sales if Doja Cat's still able to sell out arenas? We got to see what her tour does. I don't know when her tour is supposed to be, but all Doja Cat fans were upset with her. Apparently, some guy that she's dating, there's some stuff, they don't like him. And she's had to crop out some t-shirt that she recently wore because she messes with this comedian streamer guy named Sam Hyde, which apparently a lot of people don't like. I just know that guy for being kind of banned off of everything and being a little kind of odd. I just see like clips, but I'm like, oh, it kind of reminds me of maybe 2011 YouTube. So I don't know enough about that guy. But all that type of stuff, she's getting a lot of hate for. But if she sold 72K and she goes on tour and she's selling out arenas, are we really going to clown her? Now, we have to circle this back to Rod Wave. Rod Wave is killing it. This is the contrast, where the contrast comes in. Rod Wave was selling out arenas, and he was still able to do significantly more than Doja Cat was without a number one hit, without even a top 10 hit. So are his fans more concentrated? And this is why we have to go to international versus domestic audience. When you've got hits like Doja Cat, I would say Doja Cat has a worldwide audience now, as opposed to Rod Wave, who is concentrated in the US. The majority of his fan base is in the US, because you're not really going to go international unless you have hit singles that have crossover potential. So Lil Baby, maybe he's had one or two songs that have translated overseas. His pop artists have a ton. So Rod Wave, he probably can't sell out shows outside the US. I don't even know if he's performed outside the US yet, disregarding Canada. But Doja Cat, she could do shows in Brazil, she could do shows in Argentina, she could do shows in Mexico, she could do shows all over Europe, and possibly even parts of Asia. I think one or two of her songs has been really popular out there too. So when you have an international audience, that makes it way less likely for you to sell a lot within the US. However, now I kind of got to go in on Doja Cat again. There are stars that have international audiences that sell over 100K. But let's just take, for example, Ed Sheeran, right? Let's look up Ed Sheeran, who is significantly bigger than Doja Cat. So he released an album this year. It was on September 29, 2023. And he's going to sell how much? 55K to 70K. That's what they're estimating. So he's about to sell the same as Doja Cat. Maybe if he sells a little bit more. He sold 112K first week with his album Subtract. And this guy is the most international artist of anybody. I mean, this guy has songs that are playing in villages in Africa. That Shape of You song, people that don't even have electricity have heard that song before, wherever they are in the world. So this is the thing with more international artists I've recognized, is that now he is going number one in the UK, which is his primary audience. He's British, and Doja Cat doesn't have that cop-out. But it's just to give a bit of context. I mean, keep in mind, when he's been here in the USA, Ed Sheeran, he's been going on a stadium tour. So he has the audience, it's just not translating to first week sales. So I think that's where we got to cut Doja Cat some slack. We got to see how her tour does. Now, if she's doing tours that are only a couple of thousand people, then we got to look at her crazy. But I don't think that's going to be the case. So a lot of this stuff needs a lot more context than just a simple number and comparing it to someone else. So while this is slightly disappointing by Doja Cat in comparison to her previous album, and she could have done bundles and a bunch of other stuff to cook her numbers, let's not forget about that. She decided not to. It isn't as bad as everyone is trying to paint it to be, just because they decided to not like her now for whatever reason on both sides. But let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like and subscribe and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for watching. Peace.